Oh, hey, I wanted to talk about the Gamergate issue.
Oh, okay, let's talk about it.
I just wanted to provide some perspective on it that I don't think gets talked about a lot.
Okay, why don't you start off with what you're... Let's start off with where you're coming from. I'm assuming you're on the side of the gamers who are fighting for journalistic integrity.
Well, I mean, I think that as far as the Zoe Quinn part of the thing, I think people overblew the journalistic collusion and stuff, and I don't think that that's terribly important. I'm more interested in the Anita Sarkeesian.
I would say I completely agree with it being blown out of proportion, to say the least. But I mean, the whole Gamergate issue is completely rooted in Quinn in her. I mean, Zoe Quinn. So I mean, that's I don't see how you can. But okay, let's go to what you were going to say. What you want to bring up about Anita Sarkeesian.
Well, more. I think that the Anita Sarkeesian issue is more important, but it gets lumped in with the Gamergate situation.
Okay. Continue. Go ahead. Let's hear.
I think you guys have talked about the Anita Sarkeesian videos before and people's reactions to them and the threats and everything.
Yes, we have.
And would it be fair to categorize the way you guys approached it as like, why do people care what she's saying so much? Like, why does it make them so upset?
Not from me. Michael has argued that because people like to argue that she's not a gamer. So what is her opinion?
That has not been what I've said. I would just to add myself here. I think at a certain point I have said I really truly don't care about this issue writ large. As in, I don't care what anybody's saying about it. That's all I've said.
Okay, so
nothing specific to her.
Okay, go ahead. Continue with what your point is.
Including you, sir. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I think the reason that she elicited such a visceral reaction to a lot of people, you miss if you just talk about kind of the whole feminism and video games issue that's recent, and you don't realize that this is about a 20-plus year thing of video games being used as a football for culture war BS.
No, I understand what you're saying. Obviously, I mean, I remember when I was a kid.
Goes back to the video games.
I mean, I remember the mid-'90s where there was the big uproar about Mortal Kombat. I remember Hillary Clinton out there, and I remember a bunch of other politicians out there making the call that, when Columbine happened, video games were to blame, along with other pop culture things like Marilyn Manson. But I know what you're saying, and I'm sure that is a lot where a lot of this is coming from. Gamers who are worried that we're about to see another big video games being thrown under the bus for every one of society's ills. I understand that. I could see why they're worried about that. I would argue that the way they are combating that is certainly playing upon and stoking the flames of some of these societal ills that they're so worried about attacking video games, but ones that are a bit more important than their polygon button mashing games, such as women being portrayed as nothing but objects to be looked upon and saved by the strong white man. I mean, but I understand where they're coming from, but they're doing, but in their defense of it, they're putting forth even worse. What I think.
Well, for a lot of idiots who came up against her, and people who trolled on the internet about it, that is, that you're always going to have that degree of people, and there was certainly more than average in this case that showed up to say horrible things and threaten her and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But she used those people as basically an excuse to get away from valid criticisms.
Well, I mean, if she doesn't want to discuss any criticisms or anything, that's really not. She's not obligated to do so. I mean, she's able.
I would agree that she's not obligated to do so if she's just making editorials to put on YouTube. But her and her supporters push these videos to be used as high school and college course material.
Well, I would certainly say. I mean, I've seen a number of her women versus tropes in video games videos, and I think they definitely are educational. I mean, I've watched a number of videos.
Well, the videos themselves are poorly researched and intentionally misleading in a lot of ways.
I didn't believe so.
And she portrays them as very scholarly.
I definitely do think that the videos are not portrayed I definitely think she's done her research, and I definitely think they are fairly portrayed, actually, coming from a feminist critic. I mean, if you are someone who is not of a feminist background, who doesn't approach pop culture in that way, then I can see why you don't agree with her, and you can find some of her opinions to be wrong, in your opinion. But
well, to me, it's not so much about her opinions as a feminist. It's a matter of things like taking a game that disincentivizes you to kill bystanders, than making a video where you kill a female bystander and telling people that the point of the game is to kill women.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, I've played the game Grand Theft Auto. I know that's the one that's being discussed here. And let's not, you know.
It's Hitman.
Hitman's the one that she's talking about? Okay, well, in these games where you can just kill bystanders, at least the ones that I've played, there certainly is, when you go online and you see people playing, there certainly is some sort of extra glee being found in these people who go out of their way to find the prostitute character in the game and shoot them up, as opposed to, you know, just killing some business guy walking down the street in the game. I mean, I know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but I think she has a point too, where there definitely is more of a violence towards women sort of aspect in that, where there are definitely guys who are using these games to do such a thing, to outlive some sort of.
Well, I mean, to me, if you say I can use the game to do that, I don't see how that's very far from buying a Barbie doll, cutting it up, and saying Barbie is there to teach you how to dismember women. I mean, the fact that you can't
Barbie certainly has its problem. There are many feminists,
and you choose to do it.
But I mean, there are many feminists who will say that the way Barbie is portrayed perpetuates that women are supposed to look like that, and how that's all they should care about, and that means that they need to find a husband. She needs to find Ken, and that means her role is in the kitchen, and she must cook Ken food when he gets home from work. I mean, there are definitely feminists who would also argue that about Barbie.
That's kind of besides the point I'm making about. If you take what is essentially to a certain degree a toy and you misuse it and then tell people that the purpose of the toy is that misuse, that's misleading, especially in the case of video where she takes a game that actively disincentivizes you to hurt bystanders. She finds a female bystander, only shows video of her attacking that bystander, says nothing about the game's incentive structure, it just says, this game, literally, she says it encourages
Anita Sarkeesian is a feminist.
Okay.
She is a feminazi.
Michael bringing in the right-wing Mandela. No, but
I play... What is this game?
Okay, Hitman.
When I play Sin City, no, that's a film.
No, Hitman's the game.
Hitman is very good. I particularly like when you can kill the hookers.
No, but listen, I totally understand what you're saying. Yes. Okay, maybe not.
What you do is you hijack the man's car, then you drive, and the hooker, she will say, you can have me. You run her over instead. This is the video game I like. This is what I'm struggling for.
No, but listen, all right, we can't call it tomorrow. We can't really continue this now because it's a lot you're throwing in here because, you know, Gamergate's been going on for about a few months now, and there's 100 different things that people are saying they're fighting for, and Sure. I think you bring up a point, but I've seen her videos and I know that, you know, maybe she's using that one specific game to back up the clear-cut other games that she brings up. These things she brings up are in the game, and it's the point of the game, and that's why the game is to be played. That's how the game is to be played.
Yeah, I would never say that every example she brings up is invalid. I just think that on the whole, she tends to misuse or misinterpret, to say the nice way, she misinterprets things in a way that, to me, as somebody who does look at video, I personally do look at video games academically. That's what I do in school.
Listen, let's look at it this way.
To me, that it's not good to have her calling it scholarly when she's misinterpreting it and then trying to sell it as teaching it.
Well, I mean, she hasn't put herself out there as a professor, or she's going, as she says, it's a feminist critique of video games. It's called Women versus Tropes. It's not called, you know, professor of pop culture, professor of video games. She's coming at it as a woman. Women versus tropes.
Yeah, I understand that. I completely understand the perspective. I just think that, you know, I don't think it would have elicited a visceral reaction had she just been editorializing on YouTube. A million people editorialize with feminist opinions on pop culture on YouTube and don't necessarily get this level of attention.
Well, I mean, she can't.
She has her own journalistic integrity.
That says something about the quality of her work, though, is what I would say. But let's end it on this. You can call in tomorrow and we can continue this. But if we were not
sure,
if we were to take every single, she misled you with that one example. But I mean, when you look at the Gamergate side of things, the people who apparently say what they're fighting for or whatever, who is leading the charge on their end, it's a Breitbart writer. I mean, we're supposed to say that, okay, that's what I see is they get 100% behind this guy who just over the weekend wrote a comment about an article and called a transsexual woman an it. I mean, this is the type of thing we're dealing with here. I mean, it's not, if you want to point out that she's presenting herself as the head of this one side and we should be analyzing every little thing she says and seeing what holds water to what. Okay, I agree. But if you look at the other side, I would say they're much worse, especially if you look at who's leading the charge on their end. We got a guy from a failed TV show, and we got a Breitbart writer. I mean, both of them are Breitbart writers, actually, which, funny enough, I mean, really should say a lot about the Gamergate audience. But, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I understand.
Sure, and I think those extremist opinions from the opposite side are totally unhelpful. But I think it's also unhelpful when someone like Anita Sarkeesian advocates something like segregated train cars, which she did, or says that I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus is a song about how women are promiscuous sluts.
Well, again...
I think that
okay, we got to wrap this one up. We got to wrap this one up. Okay, we got to wrap this up. But I understand.
I'll fall back to talk about it again.
Okay. Oh boy, we could have.
You talk about something else.
We could have been going into everything. Yeah.